Now, welcome to our today's science lesson. That is on 3rd August 2020, Science Standard 8. Now, last time we were talking about the parts of a plant, that is the external parts of the plant, and now I was introducing the external parts of the plant. Now, we are going to discuss the functions of those external parts of the plant, and also we are going to talk about their function, deeper functions, how they work, and how also they help in growth of the plant. Now, straight away, we are going to start with the naming of the plant, and that is we have a flower. We have the flower, that is the plant has a flower. Then it also has a leaf. It has a leaf. Then it also has the stem. It has a root. Then when the plant grows, it has the reproductive part of it, which is called the fruit. When the flower develops, it develops into a fruit. Now, after understanding the parts of the plant, here we may have the clear illustration of these parts. Now here, this is what we call the root of the plant, the stem, the leaves, and when this plant grows further, it will produce a flower, and when the flowers fertilization has occurred, it produces what we call the fruit. Now, we move straight to the first part of the plant, which is the root. We are going to discuss the function of the root. Now, with the function, the root number one is a very common function where we talk about the absorption of water and mineral salts. Now, absorption of water, this one helps in where we have the root hairs, which helps in now the trapping of the water from the soil up to the plant. The water is absorbed by the roots, but henceforth it's transported by the stem to the other parts of the plant. Now, that is the first function of the root. The second function of the root, in some plants, we talk about eating the parts of the plant called the root. Now we talk of the storage, the support. We talk of the support. Now, at the underground of the plant, we have what we call the roots. These roots supports the plant, the upper parts of the plant, so that now it can be strong and anchored. Now we say it holds the plant firmly in the soil, so that now it helps in support. Number three, we talk of food storage. Food storage is where, for example, in potatoes, sweet potatoes, and the common potatoes. And also we have the carrots, we have arrowroots, and we have so many plants that we eat their roots. So it acts as a food storage. When the plant grows, it finally stores some foods, such as potatoes and etc. Now, that is the third function of the roots, and that is all about the roots, where we have the first function, absorption, second function is the support, third function is storage of food. We move straight away to the stems. Now, on the stems is exactly immediately after the roots, then we move to the stem. Now, what's the function of the stem? Number one, we talk of the stem supporting the upper parts of the plants. The upper parts of the plants include the branches. It may have the branches, the leaves, the flowers, and all other parts. So we talk of support. Number two, we talk of transportation of minerals and water. When the minerals has been absorbed by the roots, they are therefore transported through the stem to the leaves. So we talk of transport of manufactured food and also transportation of water. When you talk of transportation of water in an exam, they may draw an illustration. They cut this plant here. They take the plant, put it in a colored water. Thereafter, they cut the plant across the stem. Now, when they cut the plant across the stem, you will find that there is that colored water between the stem. That means that now they are illustrating transportation of water in the plant. Now, when you talk of transport of manufactured food, when the plant has manufactured food, we'll talk about photosynthesis when we come to flower, the leaves. But now, when you talk of manufacturing of food has been done upper part of the plant, it is then transported through the stem to the roots, either for storage or to be utilized by the plant. Number four, we talk of it protects the parts of the plant, because now this stem, when it grows very high, it means it protects these plants are protected. The upper parts of the plant are protected from either animals, or they may be protected from other enemies of that plant. So we say it protects the other parts of the plant. Number five, we talk of food and water storage. This plant, we have those plants that are soft, and we have those plants that have hard stems. Now we have those plants that we eat their stems. For example, we talk of sugarcane. We have sugarcane here. Now sugarcane, we eat its stem. So that's why we say it is storage of food and also water. And also in cactus, it has to store water. Mostly plants that are in desert region, they have that stems that store water, which is used when the dry season comes. Now we move to the other part. That is the third part of this plant is the leaves. Now when you're talking about the leaves, you have to understand the leaf is the part that now carries out photosynthesis. Is where photosynthesis takes place because of the green coloring matter, which we said last time is called chlorophyll. Now this green coloring matter is what helps in also trapping of the light, hence enabling photosynthesis. I said we will discuss photosynthesis. Now photosynthesis is the process by which the plant manufactured its own food, and this food is it's not only used by the plant, but also it is used by human beings and other animals. Now what are the conditions necessary for photosynthesis? What are the conditions necessary for photosynthesis? Number one, we have carbon dioxide. First condition is carbon dioxide. The second condition that we must have is the presence of water. The third condition is the presence of sunlight, and the fourth condition is the presence of chlorophyll. Now sunlight with chlorophyll, they are closely related, because we can have sunlight but we may lack chlorophyll. If we lack chlorophyll, it means the plant will not trap the light, hence there will be no photosynthesis. Now we may have carbon dioxide, have water, but we lack sunlight and chlorophyll, hence there is no photosynthesis. That's why we say photosynthesis, it occurs during the day. During the day we have both sunlight, we have chlorophyll, we have water, and we have carbon dioxide, hence we have photosynthesis. So if asked in an exam which one of the following is not part of the conditions necessary for photosynthesis, you should understand those conditions. We move, and here we are going to talk about now what are the products of photosynthesis. What is the product of photosynthesis? When photosynthesis is carried out, there is the product which is oxygen. You may be asked, what is the condition, what is the product of photosynthesis? You say it is oxygen. Now we move to other function of the leaf. The first function is photosynthesis. The second function is breathing. Under breathing, we talk of gaseous exchange. Now in a plant, we have gaseous exchange that takes place. Now this plant has tiny holes. Those holes help in breathing of the plant. That's the exchange of gases in and out. Now the gas that takes in, the gas that enters in the leaf is what we call carbon dioxide, and the gas that enters out of this leaf is what we call oxygen. Now oxygen enters out of the leaf, while carbon dioxide, it enters inside the leaf. So you must understand that that is also the function of the leaves. The third function of the leaf is transpiration. Now when you talk of transpiration is the process by which now the plant loses water to the external environment. After absorption, the water must also, the excess water gets out. And this excess water gets out through which process? It gets out through the process of transpiration. Where does transpiration take place? Transpiration takes place with the help of the small holes, which I have said they are called stomatas. They are called stomatas. Now the stomatas help in the removal of water and also helps in the breathing of the plant. What is the importance of transpiration? The importance of transpiration, it helps in cooling of the plant. And when you move to secondary level, you will discuss more function of the transpiration and its importance to these plants. Now, at this, we will only discuss the cooling part of it. So when the water comes out, that is the hot water comes out, there is that cold water which has been absorbed, is transported to the leaves, hence leading to cooling of the plant. Now, the fourth function of the leaves is the storage of food. Now we eat most of the plant leaves. Example of the plant leaves we eat is spinach. We talk of spinach, we have cabbage, we have kales, we have onions, we have sisal is not, we don't eat it, but now it also stores food for the plant. Now the onion, the kales is also known as sukuma wiki. Most of you understand it as sukuma wiki. Now that is all about the function of the leaves. Now we move to other part of the plant, which we said is a flower. Now under the flower, we just have to, I mentioned it at the start, that the flower is the reproductive organ of the plant. Now when you come to discuss about the reproduction in plants, we are going to discuss the parts of the flower and how this reproduction takes place, how fertilization takes place in a plant. We are going to discuss it during our reproductive in plants. Now, what happens immediately after fertilization in a flower? When the fertilization occurs, these flowers develop into a fruit. It develops into a fruit, and inside now the fruits we have the seeds. Now maybe for example this is the fruit of this plant. Now this plant, this is its fruit. Inside this fruit we have what we call the seeds. For example, we talked about the carpels. We have those seeds that are found inside the carpels. Now when I open this one, these are the seeds of this plant. So we have fruits, but now we also have the seeds. Now after that flower, we move to the fifth part of the plant, which is now the fruit. Now what's the main function of the fruit? For example, the fruit, most of it, we eat the parts of the plant, we eat the fruit. That is the tomatoes, we eat the tomatoes. We have mangoes, we have avocados, and so many fruits that we eat. Now we have those fruits that are edible, and we have those fruits that are not edible. So those fruits that are edible, that is, I have named the examples, but now we have those that are produced with weeds. We have some weeds that produce fruits, but now those fruits are not eaten. For example, Dantura. The Dantura, we said, is also known as the thorn apple. So the Dantura and the Sodom apple, they produce fruits, but those fruits are not edible. They are poisonous. If you eat them, you may end up having stomach issues, and also you may be sick. So we have eatable fruits and also those that are not edible. So we move to the main function of these fruits. We have those fruits that we eat. They are source of vitamins. They are source of vitamins. That is all about the fruits and all about the parts of the plant. Now we want to discuss the last part of today, where we are going to talk about now the roots. We are going to talk about now the types of the roots. We have discussed the function of the root. Now we want to understand now what are these types of the root. We have two main types of roots, and the two main type of roots, we have the taproot, we have taproot, and also we have fibrous root. Now this is at a primary level. You discuss the taproot and the fibrous root. Now we have other roots which I will mention at the end. Now we have this taproot. What are the characteristics of this taproot? When you look at this plant here, we have the stem here, but now we have this root that has just developed immediately down the fruit, down the stem. This, for example, when I look here, where I have this example I've drawn here. Now this is the stem, but now immediately after the stem we have that root that develops going downward. Now this root, number one, it has one main root. This is the main root we are talking about. But now on this main root we have some branches. These branches, they are called the lateral roots. They are lateral. That's not the main root, but they are lateral. But when you go to leguminous plants, we have also the root hairs. We have the root hairs, that is the small roots that are there. We have the main roots, the lateral roots, and also the root hairs. Now we move to the fibrous root. We have now here, we are going to talk about the fibrous roots. Now with the fibrous root, its characteristics is this. Number one, it lacks, it doesn't have the main root. It doesn't have the main root. Number two, it is hair-like root, but it grows from the base. Now this one does not grow from the base, but it grows direct from the plant. But now I didn't manage to get an example of fibrous, but this is the drawing that shows a fibrous root. Now fibrous root, this is the base of the plant, but now they grow immediately from that base. They are going laterally, they are going horizontally like that. It doesn't go vertical like the taproot here. Now where do we get the fibrous root? What crops have fibrous roots and what crops have the taproot? Now these ones, they are found in dicots. It is found in dicots, but the fibrous root is found in monocots. and we discussed the types of monocots and dicots. I gave an example of monocots, cereals, that is maize and others. Dicots, we talked of the leguminous plants, that is beans, peas and others. Now, I said I'll give some other example of these roots. We have the other example of which we have the prop root. Now, the prop root is found mostly in maize plant and also sugarcane plant. Now, where do we get this prop root? You may be asking an exam, but not commonly. Now, this prop root, they grow on the stem of the crop. For example, this is the stem, this is the fibrous root, this is the fibrous root, but this one here that grows on the base of the plant, that is what we call the prop root. Now, the function of the prop root is just for additional support of the plant, because now it has a fibrous root which is not deeper. Now it has to develop some structures which are now called the prop root that helps to offer extra support to this plant. Now we also have the breathing root. We also have this number one, the others. We have the breathing root. And when you move to secondary, we'll discuss about the breathing root and the function of the breathing root. Mainly, this one, prop root, is mainly found in maize. But now, this breathing root, mainly it is found in mangrove plants. When you move to where there is a lot of water or at the coastal areas, you will get mangrove plants, but now we have some roots that they protrude outwards. These roots, they help the plant for breathing because it is muddy. The area is very muddy. Now, when we have talked about all this, you have to understand that now there is so many questions that come on this part. We have so many questions on the part of flowers. We have so many questions on the types of the roots, because in exam you may be asked which one of the following is not a crop that has a fibrous root. So you must get the types of roots and their crops, the types of taproot and their crops. You must understand the prop root. You have to understand the functions of the leaves, the functions of the roots, the function of the stem, because when it comes to an examination you will be asked that one. Now lastly, let me touch on this leaf here. We have these parts of the leaf. We have the parts of the leaf. Now with my leaf here, we have this part that extends direct from the stem. This part here is what we call the leaf stalk. It is called the leaf stalk. Now after the leaf stalk, we have this part here, this one here. It's what we call the lamella. The lamella is in between the veins. Here is where I called the lamella. This one here is the lamella. Now we have the veins. The veins are the branches that comes from the main midrib. This one here is what we call the midrib. That is the middle vein. That is the midrib. We said it is a petal. The veins. We have the lamella, which is also called the blade. Then we have the leaf apex. The end of the leaf is what we call the leaf apex. It's called the leaf apex. Then at the edges, you may discuss the characteristics of the leaf. The edges, they have smooth leaves. We have those that are serrated. So you'll discuss them when you move to classification in secondary level. Now, this the leaf margin. This is the leaf margin. This one is the leaf margin, the apex, the midrib, the veins, and the petal. Now that is all about today's lesson. Now let's meet next lesson, inshallah.